The political decisions people make will affect many lives. Many people see politics as the government and the laws being made. While that is true, it's way more complicated than that.
I don't know what type of procedure is this.
Some of you may be aspiring to positions of leadership in the political arena.
And I accepted full responsibility.
But the question is, why do you want to lead?
It has everything to do with you. Every law that is made will impact many. Sometimes the decisions do affect people negatively. Therefore, it's very important to note that every vote that you cast will either break or make people. Politics with GA brings you the latest political news as well as insight and analysis as we discuss the most important issues that matter. Hello and welcome to Politics with GA. The die is cast and it's less than 24 hours before the Osun rerun governorship elections. The People's Democratic Party and the All Progressive Congress have started house-to-house campaigns to woo voters in spite of an INEC directive that campaigns ended on the midnight of 21st of September. Members of both parties have started canvassing for votes in Osogbo, Orolu, Ife North and Ife South local government areas where the rerun will be taking place. The 7 affected polling units have 3,498 votes, which will eventually determine the winner of the elections on Thursday. Meanwhile, candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Senator Iyola Omisore, has become the beautiful bride of the APC and the PDP ahead of this crucial rerun vote. On Monday, the 24th of September, President of the Senate, Senator Bukola Saraki, drove all the way to Ile-Ife to cut a deal with Senator Omisore. Shortly afterwards, the President of the Senate announced that the senator had agreed to work with the PDP. But 24 hours after, however, Senator Omisore denied that he had agreed to work with the PDP, saying that the news going around that I've agreed to work with the PDP is falsehood. And on Tuesday, September 25th, Senator Omisore held a meeting with the APC chieftains and agreed to work with the governing party in Osun instead. The meeting was attended by APC Chairman Adams Oshiomhole, the Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, Ogun State Governor Ibikunle Amosun, and the Minister of Information Lai Mohammed, and Ekiti State Governor-elect Kayode Fayemi, and also the Governor of Oyo State, Abiola Ajimobi, amongst others. At a certain twist of events, Senator Omisore a few hours ago rejected the All Progressive Congress. He said he supports Osun civil servants by standing against ill treatment. Senator Omisore says after over 72 hours of pressure on him by both the leadership of the PDP and the All Progressive Congress and the Social Democratic governorship candidates in Osun State, said that what is paramount to him is the practice of true democracy in Osun State. Senator Omisore firmly states that he will never renege on his promise of good governance, accountability, and human dignity in Osun State. Still on the Osun rerun elections, the missions of the European Union, the United Kingdom and the United States have called for peaceful, free, fair and credible completion of the Osun State governorship rerun on September 28. The mission in a joint statement on Tuesday in Abuja called for support to ensure the success of the process as Independent National Electoral Commission reruns the election in 7 polling units in the state. He said, "We observed the voting in Osun State on September 22nd and commend the people of the state for voting peacefully, but INEC for the improved organization of the elections and security services for their conduct. We urge that all continue to support a peaceful, free and credible completion of the process as INEC reruns the elections in 7 polling units, where, though no fault of their own, voters were not able to cast their votes and have them counted on Saturday, September 22nd. We stress the importance that the rerun should take place without any violence, intimidation or vote buying. Whoever wins the election after Thursday, September 28th vote should be magnanimous in victory, and whoever loses should be gracious in defeat." The two leading parties in the Osun state gubernatorial elections, the PDP and the APC, have accused each other of electoral malpractice in what is becoming a standard practice amongst political parties in Nigeria. The People's Democratic Party alleges that INEC is selling uncollected PVCs to the All Progressive Congress at the rate of 3,000 naira. The APC has also accused the opposition of cloning PVCs ahead of the rerun elections. The ruling All Progressive Congress and the opposition People's Democratic Party have accused each other of cloning permanent voters' cards. It was reported that allegations were made by both parties in separate statements on Tuesday, September 25th. And in Lagos, the Governor's Advisory Council of the All Progressive Congress, Lagos State, yesterday decided that the state governor, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, and his two colleagues will be at the mercy of the primary contest scheduled to hold on Saturday, September the 29th. With the decision of the GAC, the party denied Governor Ambode the right of first refusal, despite the intervention of President Muhammadu Buhari, the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, former Ogun State Governor Chief Olusegun Osoba, and Oyo State Governor Senator Abiola Ajimobi, amongst others. It will be recalled that Governor Ambode's second-term bid was threatened shortly after the managing director of the Lagos State Development and Property Corporation, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and former Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, declared their intention to challenge Governor Ambode. Consequently, the mandate movement, a powerful political machinery of the national leader of the All Progressive Congress, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, endorsed Mr. Sanwo-Olu for the governorship contest, thus heating up the state's political climate ahead of the primary elections, slated for this Saturday, September 29th. The 13 presidential aspirants of the People's Democratic Party who want to challenge President Muhammadu Buhari in the 2019 general elections were screened in Abuja on Monday. The screening was the first hurdle the aspirants scaled through that would enable them to take part in the party's presidential primary slated for October 5th and 6th in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. The screening, which was held at the party's presidential campaign office, popularly called Legacy House in Maitama, Abuja, was conducted by the Namadi Sambo-led 10-member committee. Among those who had appeared before the committee were former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, the President of the Senate, Senator Bukola Saraki, a former Governor of Plateau State, Senator John Ajang, Governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwa, a former Governor of Sokoto State, Alhaji Atahiru Bafarawa, a former Governor of Kaduna State, Senator Ahmed McCarthy, amongst others. Some of the aspirants who spoke with journalists shortly after the exercise said the screening was free, fair and friendly. The exercise is expected to continue on Saturday morning for the aspirants who were unable to make it on Monday. Speaking on the presidential aspirants, I spoke with Chike Ukaegbu, the presidential aspirant of the Advanced Allied Party, on his four-solution plan for Nigeria. Nigeria is undergoing a sort of political shake-up with the passing of the Not Too Young to Run bill, reducing the age of presidential candidates, age of eligibility of presidential candidates from 40 to 35, prompting a new breed of politicians, and you're one of them. Why have you decided to throw in your heart into the presidential race? Why do you want to be president of Nigeria?
Wonderful. That's a question I get that's so often. And I say this, I mean, if you look at the current state of Nigeria today, for me, there are four reasons why it was important for me to run. One, there's that sense of hopelessness, right? I have parents who are both civil servants, right, who have not been paid their pensions for over 20 months. I think this would be the 22nd month. And for a family of six, I'm one of six kids, they are sort of a little more privileged because there were 5 of us who were out, and once in a while we're able to scrape stuff to send down to them. But think about a family who does not have that, right? 2 people who have served their entire lives, who have given back to the nation or to their states. And the least we can do is to be able to take care of them, provide for them. We're not doing that. Only 3% of our population is over 65. And if we can't take care of them today, what sort of future are we building for ourselves? That's one. Two, when people say, corruption is a huge problem we have, I say we may have that problem. However, sometimes too, there are certain things that trigger that. A majority of the population have kicked into what I call survival instincts, right? Which is what will make a policeman stand in the middle of the road and collect 10 naira or 50,
Surviving by
naira.
any means necessary.
Exactly,
yeah.
right? That's because we have a government that has failed at the two most basic responsibility of governance: provision and protection, right? When you don't provide for your people, when you can't protect them, then people do what they need to do to survive, to put food on the table for their children. So when you look at that state, and then you look at the populace, right? Our population is growing at almost 3% every year, which means that we're walking into a future that will be heavily occupied by young people who may not be equipped, who are probably going to be ill-equipped, ill-educated, ill-prepared for the future we're walking into, because we have leaders that don't understand the importance of that
And these
future.
things do have consequences for generations.
Yes, huge consequences.
Your candidacy is hinged on empowering disconnected communities through three things you mentioned: education, technology, and entrepreneurship.
Yes.
How do you plan to achieve this when the foundation is bad? All those things you mentioned, the enabling environment isn't there. The state of our schools, our universities, tertiary institutions, technology and entrepreneurship. How do you plan to achieve this?
Awesome. So those are the three things. Those are my three pillars. However, these three pillars are hinged on a four-solution plan. The first one being feed the people. Second one, invest in our well-being, invest in our ideas, and invest in the future. And feed the people is extremely important because, one, we need to make sure that we can lift the 87 plus million people who live in extreme poverty out of that first, right? Once you do that, that actually does two things for us. One, you start to build trust with your populace, but also we start to collect data that's important for making sure that we can provide the social infrastructure that the nation needs. We're a nation of 200 million people without a central data system. So we don't have that, which means healthcare. We cannot do health insurance.
You can't even plan.
Exactly,
without
you really
the
can't
figures.
plan.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? So feeding the people is extremely important to do that. Now, the next step, which is investing in our well-being, I heard some people say, well, you can't be talking about education, tech, and entrepreneurship and not talk about security and healthcare and all that. I'm like, no, that's all in the second one. Our well-being gives us the ability to invest in security and education and health, in our healthcare systems and infrastructure in the environment and all of that. So when you say, how do you use these three things? The three of them are extremely important because, one, education helps us to understand the problems in order to find the right solutions to them. Technology helps us to amplify those solutions, and entrepreneurship helps us to monetize them, right? So when we think about education, sometimes, just like you mentioned, we think about the brick and mortar school and going to school. No, there's the formal and there's the informal education. So it's making sure that we can start to inspire the people first to understand the importance of understanding our problems so that we can start to find solutions to them. That is the role that education plays there. Now, when you talk about technology, you have a tablet in your hand. Everyone in this room probably has a cell phone. What are we doing with that as a tool for empowering us, right? So we've been able to leapfrog several technologies that even Western nations haven't done because we have found extra use for what we have in our hands, right? So with your tablet, people can bypass an entire banking system, for instance, because now they could connect with other farmers, they could pay their bills. So it's leveraging what we have in hand as we start to build out more infrastructure to support development of other ones.
Fantastic ideas you've mentioned and you've shared with us. But your critics will say you don't have experience in politics, that you're not a grassroots politician. And why didn't Mr. Ukaegbu start from member of the House of Representatives or Abia State governor, if you will? Why did you choose to go for the highest office of the land? And what do you have to say to those who have those people with those kind of fears and concerns?
So two things I said. So one, asking me to go get experience in a system that we all call corrupt is asking me to go get corrupt experience in order to be qualified to lead. Now, I think that the lack of experience actually is a plus. It works for me because it means that I come with fresh ideas, with new perspectives that have not been corrupted by a system that we all demonize. That's one. Two, asking me to start lower, it's asking me to go stifle all of the ideologies or the plans.
Because, I mean,
that
majority
have.
of young people, with all due respect to them, they're in the political space. They're either SA to a governor on social media and all of that. And that's what the country believes, that the young shall walk, crawl, walk, and then run.
Well, so if we didn't think 35 was old enough to lead the nation, we wouldn't have reduced the age to 35, right? So the experience I have in empowering untapped and disconnected communities is something that I know it's tangible and relevant to what the nation needs. We live in a nation that I would classify being untapped. I mean, there is no sector in this nation that cannot use development, right? So taking on that experience and translating that into what we need to do while inspiring the people to understand the importance of great leadership is extremely important. Two, when the head is fixed, it's easier to inspire people, right? I was going to say this, if I had decided to run for Senate and I walk into the Senate and I'm one of, 109, right? Imagine tiny little Chike, the youngest, probably most junior senator, coming to say, hey guys, let's, cut our pay by 70%.
And you have to put that through a vote, and I'm sure...
You are very sure that will not happen. And I'll sit there for 4 years, enjoy the benefits of all that money, and shut my mouth up, right? But if at the top the president comes out and says, you see, I should not be making all of this money when 87 million Nigerians are going to sleep without food on the table, right? You start to lead by example. You now force you force the people to now hold their legislators accountable to start to see the same way, right? That's how, if it's right at the top, it filters down. But if you come from the inside, it stifles.
President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday in New York in the United States of America advocated for the reconstitution and expansion of the membership of the Security Council of the United Nations, which currently has 15 members with only the 5 world powers as its permanent members. Advocating a reformed and more equitable United Nations Security Council representative of the global community, President Buhari said Nigeria had contributed quotas to the implementation of United Nations mandates, including participating in various peacekeeping missions authorized by the global body in different parts of the world since 1960. President Buhari also advocated international cooperation towards acceleration of the recovery efforts of the Lake Chad Basin and collaboration against illicit financial flows across borders, as well as the other forms of corruption within countries. He maintained that the loss of the Lake Chad Basin to negative impact of climate change was a major root cause of intense economic competition, especially between farmers and herdsmen. President Buhari said in his national statement as part of Nigeria's position on various international matters during the opening day of the general debate of the third session of the United Nations General Assembly. The European Union, Iran, China and Russia have set out a plan to sidestep unilateral United States sanctions designed to cripple the Iranian economy and force the Iranians to renegotiate the nuclear deal signed in 2015. European diplomats hope the proposed measure, known as a special purpose vehicle, will help persuade an increasingly reluctant Iran to stay inside the deal in the hope of rescuing its economy. Speaking on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, Federica Mogherini, the EU's external affairs chief, said SPV was designed to facilitate payments related to Iran's exports, including oil and imports, as long as the firms involved were carrying out legitimate business under European Union law. The aim is to make the SPV available not just to EU firms but to others, he added. In his address to the United Nations General Assembly, Iran's President Hassan Rouhani stressed Tehran's continued commitment to the deal and accused the United States of pressuring other countries into violating the nuclear agreement. The outgoing Democratic Republic of Congo President Joseph Kabila pledged at the United Nations on Tuesday that peaceful and credible elections will be held in his country as planned at the end of the year. Joseph Kabila has ruled since his father's assassination in 2001. He agreed last month not to defy term limits by running for re-election, opening the door to the Central African nation's first democratic transfer of power. His announcement calmed tensions that have seen dozens of anti-Kabila demonstrators killed by security forces since he refused to step down when his constitutional mandate expired in December 2016. President Kabila is backing Emmanuel Ramazani Shadari in the long-delayed December 23rd poll. His biggest challengers are likely to be Felix Tshisekedi, the president of Congo's largest opposition party, and Vital Kamerhe, who placed third in the last elections in 2011. Congo is Africa's top producer of copper and the world's leading miner of cobalt, which is prized for its use in batteries for electric cars and electronics. Thanks for watching Politics with GA. I am Benga Aburawa. See you next time. The political decisions people make will affect many lives. Many people see politics as the government and the laws being made. While that is true, it's way more complicated than that.
I don't know what type of procedure is this.
Some of you may be aspiring to positions of leadership in the political arena.
And I accepted full responsibility.
But the question is, why do you want to lead?
It has everything to do with you. Every law that is made will impact many. Sometimes the decisions do affect people negatively. Therefore, it's very important to note that every vote that you cast will either break or make people. Politics with GA brings you the latest political news as well as insight and analysis as we discuss the most important issues that matter.